This video is going to show how you can give feedback to students using Google Forms and their quiz feature. So I have a quiz that's already made up. I'm going to be showing you how you can give feedback to multiple choice or drop-down questions or checkboxes, and then I'll also show you, since I had some fake students take the quiz, how to give feedback to an open response. But prior to delivering this quiz to the students, I need to go into the settings, which is this gear over here in the corner, and when I click on it, I need to go to the quiz section and make sure it's turned on to be a quiz. There are some other settings in here that you can go through and change and turn on, but the key is I have to make sure this is a quiz. Then when I'm going through my form and setting up my questions, when I click on a question to make edit changes, I'm going to notice that down here it says an answer key. I can turn that on, and it allows me to set the point value for the question. It allows me to choose which is the right answer. And then I can also give feedback. And I can make it feedback for the correct answer as well as incorrect answers. So for instance, feedback for the correct answer here is I'm going to tell them that they're correct. Darth Vader, who is actually, spoiler alert, Anakin Skywalker, is Luke's father. I'm also able to give a link. So I have a link to a video clip that basically shows Darth Vader telling Luke that he's his father. And then for incorrect answers, I'm able to put feedback in there as well. And they'll get that feedback when I release the scores back to the students. So let me go look at another question. So I have this checkbox question here. I'm going to go down, I'm going to click on the answer key. I can check off which ones are correct, the point values, and then down below I have feedback set up for only incorrect answers. And then let me go to this multiple choice question. Same thing, point value, I'm able to select which one's correct. And again, I have feedback only for incorrect answers. So those are three questions where there are multiple choice, checkboxes, drop-down menu. The last question in here is an open response. And there is no way I can have the Google form grade the open response for me. I'm going to have to go through and grade it myself. But I can still set up the point value. And if I wanted to, I can set up feedback ahead of time. But while I'm grading the open response, I want to give individualized feedback to each student. So you may notice that up here it says I have 3 responses, so I'm going to go through and grade those. The first page that comes up, it has my summary. It also has the button to release the scores, which I'm going to do once I finish grading that last question. So I'm going to go to the question section, and I'm going to switch the question to my open response so that I can see each student's open response and I can give them their point value and feedback right here. You're going to notice that I have 3 areas. I have an X, which means that they're incorrect and they'll get 0 points. I have a check mark, which means that they're correct and they'll get the full point value of 3 points. But I can also override the system and give partial credit or extra credit, depending on the response. So for instance, this is a fabulous response. So I'm going to give it the full point value, but then override it and give it extra credit and make it 4 points instead of the total 3. I can also go over here and give feedback to this student. If I needed to, I can give a link to something as a resource to follow up if they weren't sure. Now I see here, this is a very basic response, throwaway character created for comic relief. I'm going to give 0 points, and I'm going to give feedback to this student. And then finally, another outrageous response. Once I'm finished grading and giving any type of feedback, I can then go down and hit save so that all those grades are locked in. I'm going to go back to that summary tab and I'm going to release the scores now to all the students. And so I'm able, if I needed to, send a message that would go out to everyone that's receiving this email. I can check off who is receiving their scores, and then I can send the emails and release. This is what one of the emails will look like for a student. So I'm able to see the score value at the very beginning. And if I click view, I can go through and see exactly what I submitted. Now, because of different settings that I had set up, they're able to see what the correct answer is, what the point values are. They're able to see their feedback. They can click on any links that they need to. Again, my last two questions that were multiple choice, checkbox, or dropdown, they had feedback set up only if you received an incorrect response. So that's why this student doesn't have any feedback here. And that's how you can give feedback through a Google form to your students for various question types.